Hello, darling. Welcome to this month's theme, Textiles, Colors, and Motifs. Yay! This is a fun one. So you are here, you're exploring your elements, you're getting to know your elements, you're starting to feel into them, you're starting to play with them. And I wanted to get into the specifics of your elements so that you have more to sort of zero in on and start playing with and experimenting with. So that's why this month we're going to be talking about textiles, colors, and motifs. And before we jump in, I want to remind you that you are a distinct singular essence. So the way your fire and earth, if that's what you are, or space and air, or water and fire, whatever, the way your two elements interact to create iconic you and your distinct essence and frequency, it's not going to look like anyone else's. So if the things I've put out, excuse me, don't resonate fully, that's totally okay. There's still a pathway leading you to what does, to what you know truth is, so that you can, choose and focus on those things. And what I love about this also, it's gonna open your possibilities, because there may be some textiles, colors, and motifs that you haven't ever fucking considered because you were trying to uphold a certain identity, and that identity didn't like these colors or those patterns or whatever, right? So we're throwing all of that out the window. That doesn't exist anymore. Ego be gone, brain be gone. We're tapping into iconic you and your true frequency, right? And the elements is the way to get there. So the more you get to know them, the more intimately you play and just experiment and frolic, the more information you're going to have, and it'll just make your conjuring of your outfits that much more magical as you go, okay? So I'm gonna go through some textiles, colors, and motifs that tend to razzle dazzle each of the elements, okay? So if we start with air, so textiles that air loves. So air often loves things that are that kind of feel a little bit formal, a little bit structured. They can feel structured, right? A little bit preppy-esque, right? So as far as textiles goes, air doesn't really give a shit if it's comfortable or not. Air cares more about the feeling, right? Does this make me fly? Does this make me excited, right? And you'll see some examples there in the PDF that we've created for you. Some colors, for example, for air can be, it's all the springtime colors, right? So, and you'll see in your branding kit. So pops of pink and greens. So everything that screams springtime. It can be pastels, it can be sort of neons or super saturated colors, right? It's gonna be fun and festive and kind of unexpected, quirky, right? Motifs, same thing for motifs. So air often loves kind of like, have you seen those, like it's maybe a shoe that has one eye open and the other one's winking, right? Or a shirt that's all penguins or puppies or croissants or something like that, right? Those are the little motifs that are really going to make an air very excited and giddy. They're playful, they're quirky, they're unexpected. I'm air, and that definitely is my jam. Also, I love things being like objects being depicted on clothing, on shoes, on socks, or just unexpected different motifs on things. I love the shit out of that, right? So if you're air, that might appeal to you. When we talk about water, so textiles, the feel of the textiles are going to be so important to water. Water loves comfort. Water loves things that feel like they're just like grazing, right? Just caressing the skin. It feels like warm hug energy. That's going to be very important. So things like chenille, things like cotton, right? Things like cashmere. Those types of textiles are really usually going to be very appealing to a water. As far as colors, it's going to be those same things, soothing. It can often be sort of muted colors, right? Again, light blues, dusted pinks, very turned down yellows, warm glowy yellows. That's going to be very commonly water. Motifs, so waters, interestingly, love things that are kind of delicate and repetitive. If you think of water, that's how it is, delicate and repetitive, right? One ripple is going to create all these like repetitious patterns. So water, same thing. It's going to be, literally waves or, spirals or drops. It's all going to be a very, it's not going to be angular shapes a lot of the time for water, unless of course they're fire. We'll get to that in a minute. But it's going to be sort of more rounded, comforting ovals, things like that are kind of, gentle and soft and curved, okay? Then we have fire. So fire, as far as textiles, it loves everything that's edgy. So give it mesh, give it lace, give it, pleather. Fire is gonna love the shit out of all of those. It does not care about comfort. It cares about being ignited and just feeling badass and turned on, okay? As for colors, fire's often gonna love jewel tones, deep colors, or very like in your face colors, like a stark white, or just straight up black, right? It's kind of, imagine the embers of a fire. When you're watching a fire, it's those jewel tones, the purples, the deep oranges, all those colors, right? The same goes for the clothing and the objects that fire is often attracted to. As for motifs, fire loves angles. It loves sharpness, right? It loves angles. It loves things, again, that are edgy and in your face. So motifs could also be like, you know, triangles, or just anything that feels like sexy and edgy and that has sharp edges. That's definitely going to appeal to fire. And then when we go to earth, textiles are also, they're going to be very tried and true, very any textiles that really give good shape, form, that help give a beautiful fit, that last a long time, that are beautifully crafted. That is going to definitely appeal to earth. So it's going to like sturdy, substantial types of materials. Like for jeans, it's not going to want a chambray like water would. It's going to want like sturdy ass raw denim, or just a very traditional, you know, classic, let's say, dark blue denim, for example. Okay. Colors. Earth loves a lot of contrast. It loves animal patterns as well, right? To earth, like animal patterns it's a color. Give them cheetah, give them a zebra, give them a reptilian pattern like snake, right? Earths are gonna love that shit. Typically, okay? And actually some fires do too. Let me tell you, because it's like a little edgy and it's raw and it's primal. So for earths, yeah, the animal prints, they're gonna love bold contrast. So for example, something like very stark, like a stark starched white shirt, a blazer that fits beautifully, and then maybe super bright red lipstick and a red handbag, for example, right? Or a red belt. That's going to be very earth. So big, bold contrast. And then boom, a pop of color. Because if you think of the earth's landscapes, like I'm just thinking of the Rocky Mountains, orange against the blue sky, right? Very bright, very contrasted. That is earth's jam. As far as motifs, I already named the earth tones, right? It also can love stripes and very just classic things like polka dots, houndstooth, tweed. Those are going to be very appealing to earth. They're tried and true, they're classic, they're classy, and they're long lasting. And then for space is pretty much, you know what, anything fucking goes. As long as it's odd and unusual, that can be space. So space sometimes borrows from all of the elements, but does it in its own way. So textiles can be something that's, yeah, over, like I'm space and just this really does it for me. So it can be a lot of metallics, a lot of, you know, gold lame. I guess this is gold lame technically. Lots of metallics. For textiles, it can be also just, it can be almost like the same stuff that earth likes, but done in an odd, unusual way, or done in an unexpected way. That can be very spacey, because space is like, if you think space and earth, they're direct reflections, as above, so below, right? So it's almost like earth is the grounded, earthly, tried and true classic version. And then imagine it just goes to outer space and it expands and it starts floating in the universe. So it's like, a tweed suit, but like oversized and in neon green, for example, right? And all like totally monochromatic. That's going to be very soothing to space. Space also loves monochromatics. That's like its favorite color is monochromatic, right? If you think of outer space, it's mostly the expanse and like, you know, darkness, black, right? Or light. So just monochromatic. With stars and things like shimmering and glimmering, right? So metallics. And then motifs, it depends. It depends a lot on space. Space, typically, if you just take space alone, there are no motifs, right? It could, except for maybe geometry, like sacred geometry, you know, Merkabahs, repeated patterns or whatever of any shape, but it's going to look very spacey. It can look also almost a little bit psychedelic. And it can also be that space borrows the motifs from whatever its second element is and is really attracted to that, right? For example, space is going to love a monochromatic suit, but the monochromatic can also be one pattern. It can be, if you're like Space and Fire, for example. I've had a client wear like an animal print suit head to toe in a very odd shape, oversized, and it looked totally spacey and also totally fire. Okay, so play with it. Your dare this week, which you'll get later, and it's going to be all about exploring this. So right now in your closet, I want you to go and notice the textures. I want you to play, touch the textiles, look at the materials, your favorite items that you know where you love the materials. Literally go look at the tag and just see what material is this, because let me tell you, it'll also make shopping fun to have those keywords later, right? If you know you love viscose, I don't even know how to pronounce it, I only write it, for example, right? Or linen if you're water, or whatever. That's going to help, because that is a whole vibe, right? The fabric also brings in a whole vibe. Or motifs, right? Different motifs. So check out the PDF that you're going to be getting, but right now I want you to just go in and experiment with your closet, see what's in there, see what you love, see the colors that maybe you don't love and like what you'd like to bring in instead, but really focus on the textiles, colors, and motifs. And you're going to share with us in the community what your discoveries are, okay? So I want you to really go through that, check it out, see what's up, and then you're going to get a PDF with all the beautiful information next week, and you can continue exploring there. All right. And then the dare. I'm so excited for you to go through the dare. All right, darling. So play. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all just about unlocking iconic you. That's it. That's what we care about. All right. Yay!